Hello English 101 students. Today I'm going to talk to you about APA formatting, which you will use for both project number 1 and project number 2 this session. APA formatting and MLA formatting are both common in the college environment. Which one you use depends on the type of class you're taking and the field you're going into. I'm personally an English major, so I tend to use MLA formatting in my classes. However, when I took sociology, my professor required me to use APA formatting. It's useful to know that both standards exist, but you don't have to know all of the rules for both or even all of the rules for one. Because we have a vast store of information on the internet, as long as you know where to find the rules for the standard you're using, you're good to go. Formatting is the last step in the writing process. It should come after your drafts and your final proofread. You can start formatting earlier, but if you do, you should always double check your formatting as a final step also. Sometimes when you add in graphics, photos, or additional text, your formatting adjusts and it no longer looks right. This is why we do it last. First of all, you need to add a header. In APA formatting, the first page looks like this. So running head, colon, title in all caps. The header should be less than 50 characters, so if your title is very long, shorten it at a logical place. The first page only will say running head, title, and then the page number, flush right. The other remaining pages will only include the title and a page number. You can format your header to include a different first page here. Right here, headers and footers, different first page. Now you can format your first page separately. So this header will actually look just like this. Okay? Title, page number. All right. So normally when you are writing a paper, you would have something like this at the top. We're not going to have that at all. We'll delete that. And this first page is your title page. So we're going to take all the rest of the text off of there, and you'll have just your title on this page. The title includes the title of your paper, your name, and the organization you did your research under. In our case, it's Arizona State University. All right. I'll fix this real quick. All caps. Okay. Okay, so now I have two separate headers. This one says running head, and here just the title. All right, so in a typical APA formatted paper, your second page would be something called the abstract. I'm going to show you the abstract on the Purdue OWL website because it's not actually required for you for this class. So here is their second page. They put the abstract. The abstract is 150 to 250 words that say exactly what your paper is about. And then at the bottom, the keywords, the word keywords in italics, and then the keywords that you associate with your paper. So again, you don't need to put an abstract in your papers for English 101, but always check with your professor to clarify what the expectations are for a paper. They're usually in the syllabus under a section for paper formatting. I've had papers require different fonts, type sizes, and different formats. It's always up to them, so just check to make sure. If you notice this paper here that we're going through, it's in Courier New, and that was a specific requirement from that professor. APA formatting is done in Times New Roman. So actually, I'm going to go through now, and I will put everything into Times New Roman. So I'll select all of my text. Actually, we're going to go from the bottom up. Okay. Oh my goodness. There we go. And font, Times New Roman, and 12 point. All right, so now that I have my font and font size chosen, I'm just going to look. All right, so number 1 page, title page, number 2, there's where my paper starts. Everything is double spaced. My headers look good. So I'm going to look at my citations. All right. Again, this paper was done in MLA, so it says works cited. Yours is going to say references because it's an APA formatted paper. So this will say references. All right. And remember that your references are going to be in alphabetical order according to the last name of the author. So Arthur Conan Doyle, D, Kenneth Robeson, R, those are in alphabetical order. They also have something special here called a hanging indent, and that's when the first line is flush left, and then the next lines, they come in, they're tabbed in. You can find hanging indent here in layout, paragraph, and indentation, it says special right here, and hanging. And then you just hit OK, and it will format it exactly like this. All right. All right. So there's also, excuse me, more than one way to properly cite a source using APA formatting. So let's see what this looks like here. Great. There's my first one. All right, so again, this paper was written in MLA, so you might be used to seeing a citation that looks like this. It's a last name and then a page number. Very important though, regardless of what format you're using, if we're directly quoting, we make sure we use quotation marks. All right, so this is a direct quote from a book. It's quoted, and then at the end, for your paper, for APA formatting, you are going to put the author's last name and then the year, so like that. And then if you want to, you can add the page number. It's not required, but especially if you're working with a longer work, like you're citing a novel or a very large study, and you want the person to be able to find that source, that quotation from the source very quickly, it's nice to put in a page number. So you could do it like how I just did it, or we could just leave it like that, Robeson 2015. All right. Another, there's not. All right, the other way that you can do that is, the other way you could do it is you can mention the author we can mention the author right here in the context of the sentence. So I could say like Robeson 2015 says, comma, and then I could put in my quote. So we can do that either way, as long as you're making sure, and then if we want to here too, we can add in our page number, okay, page, whatever. So you can do that either way, but make sure you put in the author's last name and the year, and the page number is an optional addition there. All right. So just remember, if you didn't write it, cite it. Paraphrasing something requires a citation. So even if I'm pulling information from something but not directly quoting it, I still have to cite it. If you directly quote something, that requires a citation. If you don't add a citation in your work, you risk the chance of being seen as someone who plagiarizes others' work. Don't risk it. If you're not sure how to cite something because you can't remember the rule, use a placeholder when you're writing your rough draft. So if I'm not sure what my citation will look like, sometimes I just do this. All right? And then when I go back through, if I want to find all the places I need to fix my citation, I'll hit Control plus F. And I'll type in the word cite. Now, it will go through and pull up every instance of that word, so I can find every place I need to fix my citation without doing it immediately as I'm writing, but that way I also won't forget. All right, so we had already looked at Purdue OWL, and I just wanted to again point out this website. It's one of the best places I know of to find information on formatting or grammar or writing in general. This is the online writing lab at Purdue University, and it's a vast resource that will help you write every paper that you need to in your college career. Here at the top left, there's a search bar. So you can type in any topic that you need help with, and they'll most likely have something that will help you. So I could type in like cite photographs, APA, and it'll bring up the topic for that. Okay, so I can go there. So use the Purdue OWL website, utilize it, get to know it. It's amazing, and it can answer most of the questions you have about formatting, way more than I can answer in this short video. So thank you for joining me today for Success Tips with your Writing Fellow. As always, if you have any questions, please email me or your professor, and we'll be happy to help you with anything that you need some assistance with. All right? Happy writing!